CEO's daughter ran to Janitor. They beat my mom. She's dying. His secret skill changed everything. Marcus Silva pushed his mop across the gleaming floors of Sterling Tower's executive level, his movements practiced and methodical. 23 floors below, the city hummed with evening traffic, but up here in the corporate stratosphere, silence reigned. He preferred the night shift, fewer people, fewer questions, fewer chances for anyone to look too closely at the man in the maintenance uniform. Had been working at Sterling for 8 months now, invisible to the executives who strode past him without a glance. That's exactly how he wanted it. After 15 years in covert operations, after missions in places that didn't exist on any map, after losing everything that mattered, Marcus had chosen this quiet anonymity. The mop and bucket were his disguise, his escape from a past written in blood and classified files. The elevator chimed, and 7-year-old Emma Sterling bounded into the hallway, her yellow dress bright against the steel-blue walls. She waved at him with the unself-conscious friendliness that only children possess. Marcus nodded back with a slight smile. Emma and her mother, CEO Victoria Sterling, often worked late. The girl had taken to chatting with him during his rounds, telling him about school, her drawings, her dreams of becoming a marine biologist. "Hi, Mr. Marcus. Mom's in a big meeting. She said I could practice my running in the hallway if I'm quiet." "Stay safe, Emma. No running near the elevators." She giggled and took off down the corridor, her footsteps echoing. Marcus returned to his work, the familiar rhythm soothing, but years of training had honed instincts that never truly slept. Something felt wrong. The security guard who usually patrolled this floor hadn't made his rounds. The air felt charged, expectant. Part 2, when darkness strikes, the scream shattered the silence. Marcus' body reacted before his mind fully processed the sound. He was already moving toward Victoria Sterling's office when Emma came running back down the hallway, tears streaming down her face, terror transforming her features. "Mr. Marcus, they're hurting my mom. Please, they're killing her." He knelt quickly, gripping her shoulders gently but firmly. "Emma, listen carefully. Go to the supply closet at the end of the hall. Lock yourself in and don't come out until I get you. Understand?" She nodded frantically, and he watched her run before turning toward the corner office. Through the glass walls, he could see 4 men in dark suits surrounding Victoria Sterling. One held her arms while another struck her across the face. Papers littered the floor. This wasn't a robbery. It was an execution disguised as corporate intimidation. Marcus' jaw tightened. Had walked away from this life, sworn he was done. But watching a child's mother being beaten to death while that child hid terrified in a closet, that wasn't something he could ignore. Some lines once crossed couldn't be uncrossed. He opened the supply closet where he kept his cart, reaching behind the industrial cleaning supplies to the small lockbox head hidden there months ago. Old habits. Inside was everything had promised himself he'd never touch again. A Sig Sauer P226, 2 extra magazines and a tactical knife. His hands remembered their weight, like greeting old friends. Part 3, The Reckoning. Marcus moved through the office with the silence of smoke, using the glass partitions and shadows to his advantage. The men were focused on Victoria, who was now on her knees, blood trickling from her mouth. The largest one was speaking in clipped, professional tones. "Mrs. Sterling, your refusal to sell has become problematic. Your board will be much more cooperative once you're no longer an obstacle. Nothing personal." "Everything about killing someone is personal," Marcus said from the doorway. 4 heads snapped toward him. For a moment, confusion registered on their faces. Just a janitor holding a mop. Then they saw the weapon in his other hand, and confusion became calculation. "Walk away, friend," the leader said smoothly. "This doesn't concern you. Well, double whatever they're paying you to clean floors. Not about money. It's about a little girl who shouldn't have to grow up without her mother." The first man reached for his weapon. He was fast-trained, professional, but Marcus was faster. Years of muscle memory compressed into 3 seconds of controlled violence. He moved laterally as he fired twice, center mass. The man dropped. The second rushed him with a tactical baton. Marcus deflected it with the mop handle, used the momentum to spin inside his guard, and drove the knife up under his ribcage. The remaining two had their weapons out now. Marcus dropped behind a desk as gunfire shattered the glass walls, showering him with fragments. He could hear Victoria crawling toward cover. Good, she was still conscious, still fighting. The shooters split up, flanking maneuver, textbook. But Marcus had spent years teaching those textbooks. He waited until they committed, then rolled out firing. One caught a round in the shoulder and went down. The leader dove behind the conference table, returning fire with disciplined 3-round bursts. Professional, military background, probably special operations. This wasn't just corporate thuggery, someone had sent serious contractors. "Who sent you?" Marcus called out, ejecting his magazine and slamming in a fresh one. "Does it matter? You're a dead man either way, maybe, but you'll die wondering who I was." Marcus grabbed the lamp from the desk and threw it toward the window. As the leader's eyes tracked the movement, Marcus broke cover from the opposite direction. The man adjusted quickly, but not quickly enough. Marcus' round took him in the chest, and he collapsed against the leather chair. The sudden silence was deafening. Marcus stood slowly, scanning for additional threats. Nothing. He moved to Victoria, who was pressing her hand against her bleeding temple. "Emma, she's safe. I'll get her. Can you walk?" Victoria nodded, using the desk to pull herself up. "You're not really a janitor, are you? Tonight I'm whatever you needed me to be." Part 4. Escape. Marcus retrieved Emma from the supply closet, and her sob of relief as she buried her face in her mother's suit jacket made his chest tighten. They couldn't stay here. Whoever sent the first team would send another. He led them to the service elevator, the one maintenance used to move equipment. "My car is in the garage," Victoria said, her voice steadier now. "Black Range Rover, executive parking. They'll have it covered. We use mine." His 15-year-old pickup truck was parked in the back lot where the janitorial staff left their vehicles. Not glamorous, but reliable. He settled Emma in the back seat, Victoria beside her, and pulled out of the garage with his lights off. In the rearview mirror, he watched Emma sleeping against her mother's shoulder, exhausted by terror and relief. Victoria was staring at him with a mixture of gratitude and questions. "Who are you really?" "Someone who used to solve problems that governments couldn't admit existed. Then I stopped being that person." "Why?" "Because every problem I solved created 3 more. Because I got tired of losing people. Because I wanted to be someone who pushed a mop instead of a body count." Victoria was quiet for a moment. "Thank you for breaking your retirement." Marcus drove them to a motel on the edge of the city, paid cash for a room. He stood guard outside while Victoria called her lawyer, her security team, and finally the FBI. When federal agents arrived 2 hours later, Marcus gave his statement with the practiced efficiency of someone who had done it before. The lead agent, a sharp-eyed woman named Chen, studied him carefully. "Marcus Silva, former Marine Force Recon, then NSA contractor. You dropped off the grid 4 years ago. We wondered what happened to you. I became a janitor. Good benefits, honest work. Seems you're still in the problem-solving business. Tonight was a one-time thing." Agent Chen handed him her card. "If you ever want to come back in from the cold, call me. We could use someone with your skills." Marcus pocketed the card but said nothing. Epilogue. New beginnings 3 weeks later. Marcus was cleaning the executive floor of Sterling Tower again. But things had changed. Victoria had survived the assassination attempt, and the investigation had exposed a conspiracy involving rival board members and a hostile takeover scheme. Arrests had been made. The company was safe. Emma ran up to him during his shift, carrying a drawing. "I made this for you, Mr. Marcus." It showed 3 stick figures: Emma, her mother, and a tall figure with a mop. Behind them, a dragon lay defeated. In crayon letters at the top, "My hero." Marcus felt something crack in the walls, head built around himself. "Thank you, Emma. I'll treasure this." Victoria approached, her bruises fading now. "I'm doubling your salary, and you're head of security if you want it. I appreciate it, but I'm good where I am." Why? You're clearly capable of so much more. Marcus looked at the drawing in his hands, then at Emma's bright smile. Because your daughter waves at me every evening and tells me about her day. Because up here, I'm just Marcus, the janitor who keeps things clean. That's enough. Victoria studied him for a long moment, then nodded. Well, Janitor Marcus, you'll always have a place here, and if you ever need anything at all, you call me. After they left, Marcus returned to his mop and bucket. In the glass reflection, he caught sight of himself and allowed a small smile. Head thought he was hiding from his past, but maybe Head actually been waiting for a moment when his skills could protect instead of destroy. When being a warrior meant saving a child's mother instead of taking someone else's life. Sometimes the best place to hide a guardian was in plain sight, holding a mop. Sometimes the most powerful thing a person could do was choose to be ordinary until the moment when ordinary wasn't enough. And sometimes, just sometimes, the measure of a man wasn't in the battles he fought, but in the choice to fight only when it truly mattered. Marcus Silva pushed his mop across the gleaming floor, invisible and essential, exactly where he needed to be.